Hi everyone, RFG here with a review for 9 Treasures of Liuyin, an isometric action RPG for PC, developed and published by Kingnagame. It is under a Souls-like tag, but I found this to be a more traditional or straightforward action RPG, and I mean that in a positive way. You start off as a mysterious man who has amnesia, and is on the search for a divine artifact. There is more to the story, but I'll be honest, the English translation is pretty rough in most places, and non-existent in the intro and ending sequences. The story definitely does progress, and you can see that happening, but it's mostly just kind of there. It's not too memorable, but I did enjoy some specific parts. Fortunately, gameplay systems were translated much better, or it was just easier for me to understand. There's a large push to be aggressive in 9 Treasures. Your standard attack string starts very slow, but it can become a somewhat infinite series, which you'll use to whittle down enemy health and guard beaters. You'll also have access to kung fu skills like the use of health potions and attacks that use stamina, that can be mapped to 4 buttons or keys. Broken guards can let you deal a fatal blow to enemies, or critical blows to bosses. Most enemies can break out of your string, usually with a telegraphed attack. You can respond to these attempts from them by continuing your offensive to try to break their guard or outright defeat them before they land a hit. Avoid the attack by moving out of the way or using a dodge, which uses stamina, or by blocking or instant blocking. There are multiple types of these telegraphed attacks. Ones that give a slight whitish aura called soul waves that can be avoided in multiple ways. Green warning attacks referred to as burst seams can be directly countered with a dodge for guard damage. Red warnings are strong attacks that need to be avoided completely. All of this is explained during the tutorial section, along with being able to interact with parts of the environment in various ways. After defeating the tutorial boss and making your way into the main section of the game, you'll come across a save point. These save points will let you restore health and potions, change your choice of throwing knives once you acquire them, and transport you between unlocked save points. Keep in mind that you have to actually rest at a save point to activate it for fast travel. By the way, dying in 9 Treasures is just a standard game over. More importantly, you'll meet the Mysterious Soul, aka the Mysterious Spirit Body, who can grant you new kung fu and perceived skills depending on energy fragments and experience you gain from defeated enemies and goods you gain throughout the game. She'll appear near save points at the beginning of the game, but will then appear in an area known as the Unknown Space, available via fast travel. Perceived skills use perception points, which are located above your health and stamina bars. Your perception points are built by dealing damage to enemies, as you can see in this orb here. They can encompass multiple abilities for the mysterious man. Kung Fu and perceived skills get their own sections in the menu. I mentioned earlier that Kung Fu skills can be assigned to 4 buttons or keys and are used accordingly, but perceived skills get 5 slots to be assigned and are activated differently. While out of menus, you can activate the perception skills state. This will slow down time to let you select one of the 5 perceived skills you have equipped. Another important part of the menu is the Develop section. Split between 4 different sets of upgrades with 3 levels per set, these 3 levels are a mix of several different styles of upgrades. They can increase your attack stat, add more stocks of potions, or increase other abilities. While all Develop levels require experience to upgrade, some also require certain goods before an upgrade is possible. These levels don't necessarily have to be upgraded in order either, as long as you have the goods and or experience. If you're not sure about what items are needed for upgrades or skills, or just received an item where you're not sure about its use, you can go into the goods section of the menu to get an idea for its use. You won't get much useful info, but you might be able to determine if a good is used for upgrades or something else. You might be able to get a grasp of what goods may be used for when checking the clues section of the menu. Despite the questionable translation, clues are given by NPCs for certain quests you'll find in 9 Treasures. This is largely a linear game, but there are branching and sometimes hidden paths in the map where clues can help to seek them out. These paths can lead to hidden items for minor rewards like energy fragments, or hidden bosses for more rare rewards. The game isn't very large, but there are a good amount of bosses. Level variety is also pretty impressive, and having the branching and hidden paths does a decent job of extending the life of the game. Even the different types of enemies are introduced and spaced apart evenly throughout. The amount of kung fu and perceived skills can allow for a good mix of experimentation for playthroughs. Fortunately for anyone who would attempt multiple playthroughs, the graphics are fairly solid. There seems to be a bit of cel shading used for portions of the levels that makes it visually appealing. The camera is placed wide enough for you to get a good view of your surroundings so that you can react clearly to what's happening on screen, like the types of enemy attacks I mentioned earlier. Your character and enemies stand out even in areas where you'd think it would be hard to see them. Music unfortunately doesn't stand out much. It's serviceable and there is variety. Some of the boss fights have 2 phases and the track changes to show this. Weirdly enough, there are findable piano tracks that an NPC can play for you, but only a handful of these tracks seem to be used elsewhere in the game, which I found odd since some of them are quite good. Sound effects do a decent job of reflecting what's happening, but they tend to fall short during cutscenes. I briefly spoke about the short length of the game earlier, but I think it's not much of a detriment here, mostly because of the amount of content packed in 9 Treasures, and also because of the difficulty. Bosses aren't easy, and if you get caught between multiple enemies, you can be bullied. And as I said before, deaths are game overs, so any progress made after a save, but before a death, will need to be remade. But save points are placed rather conveniently, saving is very fast, and restarting from a save point is very quick. As far as RPG mechanics go, grinding never felt necessary. You also can't grind effectively. Regular enemies don't respawn fast enough, or don't provide enough experience to be worth the wait for them to respawn. There's no equipment to boost character stats either. Any stat or ability you can enhance are within the develop section of the menu, yet the game never felt unfair. Your instant block is lenient enough, dodging gives you just enough invincibility to be useful, and the telegraphed attacks from enemies are clear to see and provide adequate time to respond accordingly. Beating the game will also put you into a New Game Plus playthrough past the tutorial stage. You'll keep the upgrades from the previous run, but goods you receive from a previous playthrough do not carry over. Although the translation is spotty for story and characterization, and does affect some gameplay explanations to an extent, 9 Treasures of Liuyin provides a fun, short, action RPG experience. Being able to progress without any needless grinding or relying on equipment lets you focus on the combat and the abilities you feel are suited best for your character. If you're into Souls-like specifically, I don't think this quite fits that subgenre, but it is an enjoyable action RPG that provides a decent challenge. That's it for me. Let me know what you think below. Thanks.